Overloaded. Toby was worried. So many workmen were needed at the quarry that Henrietta wasn't able to carry them all. Bertie did his best to help, but he couldn't get closer than the quarry gate. Toby complained. One morning, Bertie didn't feel well, and Henrietta was all on her own. More and more workmen climbed into her. Henrietta exclaimed. Grumbled the workman. Henrietta had a balcony at each end, and soon even these were packed. She was fuller than ever before. Toby had a hard job starting. Toby fussed impatiently, his wheels slipping on the damp rails. People in the street stared as the train struggled past. Toby rang his bell cheerfully, but Henrietta wasn't so happy. Suddenly, a car came out of a side street in front of them. Toby's driver put on the brakes at once. The train stopped quickly, and some of the workmen were pushed against the railing of Henrietta's front balcony. It bent, but luckily it didn't break. A policeman passing on a bicycle stopped and wrote something in his notebook. Henrietta said to herself, she was right. The next day, an inspector came to see the quarry manager. He said, the manager said, said the inspector sternly. The quarry manager telephoned the fat controller to see if he could help. The fat controller wasn't hopeful, and the quarry manager went home to tea, shaking his head sadly. A few days later, Thomas stopped at the station by the river. As they waited, he heard a buzzing noise from behind a hedge near the platform. Suddenly, there was a rustling and a loud crash. A man's head appeared above the hedge. He had a saw in his hands. Whew! It's nice to see the railway once more, he said cheerfully. It's been like a jungle in here. Later, Thomas stopped there again, said a shaky voice. Thomas was puzzled, but his driver had heard it too. He looked over the hedge and saw a very old, very broken down railway coach. Asked the driver, replied the coach shyly. But before he could answer, the guard's whistle blew and they had to go. At the top station, Toby told Thomas about the workmen. He said sadly. Said Thomas excitedly. Interrupted Thomas's driver. But Thomas did think about it and asked the fat controller. The fat controller listened, made some arrangements, and then telephoned the quarry manager. The manager greeted them the next morning. He went on.